here we are. This is S.x Love Psychedelics, and I'm your host, Dr. Kat, bringing you psychosexual conversations that will leave you intellectually turned on and hungry for more.
Segue from that then to the social conversation around orgasm and how women's orgasms can be elusive, or how women's orgasms can be complicated or require a lot of work, and how this can end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy for us. If we were to look at that, how do you see, or what do you see as important in changing the mindset or changing the communication? Like, what do you see as crucial about that to be able to help women reject that narrative or support themselves in this orgasmic state?
Yeah, this was actually what started the book. I got really fired up over this statistic I saw floating around that women take 20 minutes to orgasm. And I don't know why it like made me so angry, because I was like looking for a source and there was no actual source. It was just cited and recited in a lot of places. And there's a lot of research showing through masturbation, women can orgasm more easily than with a partner. And most women through masturbation orgasm in 5 minutes or less. And there's this narrative of the female body in general as just difficult to please. And there's also a historical context to this. It had to do with Puritanism and the idea. So Christianity actually, like in medieval times, around that time, like there was this idea in Christianity that women were lustful and sin prone, and because of Eve being the one to eat the apple. And there was this view of women's bodies as insatiable, that they're never really done, that they can just go on and on. And there was this fear of women because of that. And then around like Victorian England and the colonial US, there were these purity ideals that said, no, 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 like women are actually like not very sexually desirous. They're really here to please their husbands and take care of their children. And there was this narrative shift, and there were these marriage guidebooks written saying things like, a woman is difficult to arouse, like she really needs, a husband uh to like love her and take care of her and train her to like feel sexual pleasure with him. And it kind of came from this paranoia that women could have sex outside of marriage or enjoy sex with other women even. And so that's like part of where this idea of the elusive female orgasm came from. And then there's also the conventions around how we have sex, partly because of these ideals of like sex within marriage and for reproduction, that intercourse is the most valued kind of sex. It's painted as something that women offer to men rather than the other way around. And it is, and a lot of like there was a study maybe 10, 15 years ago that like half of men could not identify the clitoris on a diagram. So, given most women need clitoral stimulation to reliably orgasm, that is a huge disadvantage. Women are receiving oral sex at lower rates than men. And we have this narrative that women's orgasms are elusive, which perpetuates the idea that why even try? It's so complicated. Why not just accept sex without an orgasm and have it mainly for the man? And you can see that in porn conventions as well. It ends with the money shot, the male climax.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a personal story which I tie into this of having difficulty orgasming with a partner. Like until I was 25, I hadn't had an orgasm with a partner, and part of it was I was on Prozac and Zoloft, which both interfere with that, but I wasn't even told that initially because like people I don't know why. I don't assume it won't be that important for women, or it's not well studied enough maybe, but also there was this reticence in even asking for what I wanted, even saying like, what we typically consider foreplay, clitoral stimulation, that can be the main event. And I'm passionate about this idea that the female orgasm is not elusive, because I think we only make it elusive by not allowing women to speak up and have a voice in the bedroom and discover what like makes them orgasm and then ask a partner for that. So I think women, whatever it is, women should be vocal about whatever they need, whether that's to touch themselves, to use toys, a specific oral or fingering technique, a specific sex position, whatever it is. I think once you find what makes you tick specifically, then you should not, or I don't want to say shoulds, but the female orgasm like will not be elusive for most people. And of course, there are some people for whom it might be, whether there's like a medical issue, a medication, or a psychological trauma or shame or something like that. But there this doesn't have to be part of being a woman. And I think it's so empowering for a woman to go into a sexual encounter knowing exactly what they need to get themselves off, not wondering, like, am I going to enjoy this as much as my partner? But knowing for a fact that you can and will. And yeah, I think we've just made like a mockery of what sex is in our society. It should be about pleasing women. It shouldn't be like, about pleasing men, and then maybe once in a while women get an orgasm out of it. And like a
Mm.
lot of fewer, but a lot of women like still kind of accept that, it seems.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, lovers. And if you want to experience more ecstasy and sexual liberation, head over to sexlovepsychedelics.com and learn about how you can join me for any one of my online or live events. And while you're there, grab my free guide on sex and psychedelics. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider and local law before pursuing any of the products or psychedelics discussed. And one final note here. I make this show specifically for you. If you're loving the show, then be sure to leave me a review in iTunes or Spotify to let me know. Happy to be here and happy to serve. I'll see you next time on Sex Love Psychedelics.